Good morning, everyone. Today we're checking out a brand new video from Popcross Studios of turning SILKSONG bosses into SCPs. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't played the game. I know, I should. I actually am debating getting both it and Hollow Knight. But for now, let's just hop in and see which bosses have been turned.
For this episode, I am literally just working with the first 4 bosses or mini-bosses that I personally came across while playing the game SilkSong. I know this game has been very hotly anticipated by a lot of my subscribers, and lots of us have been excited to play it since the first trailer dropped around 900 years ago, so I didn't want to spoil anything for anyone that's not very far in yet. But with that said, I absolutely love how the art turned out for this episode, and I just love, in general, drawing insect-like creatures, so I am very open to coming back to another round of this with later bosses in the game. If that's something you want to see, let me know in the comments, or if you're new here, subscribe, both as a way to cast your vote that you want another round of this, and so that you're more likely to see it when it does come out. But with that said, let's get into some creepy looking SilkSong SCPs, shall we?
Let's go! Hit like if you want, subscribe if you feel like it. By the way, enjoy the show!
Good evening, everyone. Today we will be discussing
Hey, what up, Oakland? Good to be with ya. Looks like the first boss / mini-boss is some kind of small green mosquito.
a subclassification of entities, SCP-H, that was first brought to our attention 8 years ago by a high school-aged girl named Cherry Tayama. After her family moved to South Australia, she had what seemed to be an unfortunate incident at the time, but has now transformed into a very adventurous career for her. She fell into a subterranean world under the abandoned Hollowsville Mine in Adelaide.
Hollowsville
She discovered
Mine.
an entire civilization of insectoid-like entities and creatures down there. She was quite terrified, professing a fear of insects at the time that she fell into this world, and her life was near constantly under threat in her time down there. Thankfully, she was able to build a substantial degree of resilience due to her circumstances. Then, along with the aid of one of the entities she encountered, she was eventually able to escape with her life.
Sorry, correction. The Knight, not the Hollow Knight.
Thereafter, she tried telling others of what she'd encountered, and, while nobody believed her, this eventually caught the attention of an SCP operative. She was brought in for an interview of her experience, and the intent was to give her amnestics to erase the incident when the information was extracted. But it was determined that she was well suited to become a field operative after expressing interest in revisiting the location and exploring with the aid of the Foundation. She is now a leading expert on subterranean anomalous entities and is stationed out of Biosite 84 in the Australian outback. Today we will be covering the new entities Agent Cherry and her team have discovered upon their latest exploration of these caverns. As it turns out, she has discovered a whole new set of territories that loom far below the others she'd previously explored.
How deep
the first
can they
significantly
go?
dangerous entity she came across in this new region was item number SCP-H194. Object class, Euclid. Special containment procedures. H194 is to be housed in a standard containment cell. Operatives are only to enter containment after this entity has been dosed with sleep spores to render it unconscious. Moss growing in the entity's cell is to be left be unless it overgrows and begins to block the door. Then it should be trimmed and parts removed to prevent limitations in access.
Let it grow,
description,
but not overgrow.
H194 is a 7-foot-tall green hornet-like entity. It has a large head of mossy hair along with further moss growing along its back. It has an extended stinger and 4 claw-like arms, along with 4 wings. According to all known laws of aviation, there is no way this entity should be able to fly due to the size disparity between its wings and weight. But, of course, strange occurrences such as this are not news to the Foundation. This creature was extremely aggressive when Agent Cherry and her team entered its territory. It flew at them with its stinger stuck forth, and when they proved able to evade it, the entity then slammed its full body weight against the ceiling of its home, dropping both stalactites on the operatives and even some of her own larvae, which were clung to the ceiling of the cavern. Thankfully, they were well prepared for an encounter such as this, and were able to bind the entity in a net to be extracted for containment and study. Though, there were far more frustrating dangers waiting farther into these caves.
So a little moss wasp, huh? Alright, I like it. What's up next?
The group eventually came across a full village of entities
thing.
whose language Foundation linguists are still attempting to decipher. There were also many smaller creatures found, and some were taken to be studied, but the next, more monstrous and significant entity was one that actually resembles an insect version of entity SCP-P306, leading some to make
Oh yeah, the head does look a bit like add-ons. Okay.
Arguments of fitting these entities into the SCP-P classification. Which simply leads me once more to ask why we have so many arbitrary subclassifications, but I digress. Item number SCP-H207, Object Class,
Sorry, that's
Archon. Special Containment Procedures.
Ooh.
Despite initial hostility, this entity has been deemed more useful to leave on-site in the subterranean world. Operatives are only to approach or summon the entity while in the presence of Agent Cherry. Description. H207 is a 23-foot long, 8-foot-tall armadillidae-like entity. It is largely black with a white skull-like head. The shells running along its back are
Armopilo! That's what you could call it, an Armopilo bug.
Extremely durable, but a well-aimed bullet or blade strike may harm the softer flesh beneath if necessary. This entity was found by Agent Cherry and her team in a cavern surrounded by broken bells, the origin of which are still unknown. The entity was bound in very sturdy silk, dangling from the ceiling as if it had been captured by some sort of enormous spider. The team debated whether or not to free it, but ultimately, Agent Cherry deemed they should assist it, knowing full well there are non-hostile entities in these caverns, and this may very well be one of them. Her fellow operatives believed that her hope that it would be as benevolent as the entity that assisted her on her first venture into these caverns was clouding her better judgment, and at first this seemed to be proven accurate. The team spent half an hour carving through the extremely tough silk, only to have the creature then burrow into the ground, start bursting up from the dirt and bell-covered floor, and shrieking at the operatives, hurling bells all about. It appeared to have hostile intent, but Agent Cherry kept her cool and ordered her team not to fire. The others all felt this was dangerously risky, but ultimately proved to be the best course of action. The creature seemed to understand Cherry was the leader and burst right before her in a show of force, but she did not move a muscle. Her time in these caves as a child had well prepared her for interactions such as this, and she could tell this creature was essentially testing her. When she showed no fear, the creature bowed to her. It then scuttled over to a particularly small bell on the ground, picked it up with strands that emerged from its mouth, and...
Oh, I see now. It's called the Bell Beast. So what was that last one called? Oh, Moss Mother. Huh, okay.
Gave it to Operative Cherry. Now, whenever she or any member of her team rings it while in the caverns, the entity will hear it, apparently no matter how far away, and it will come to them to transport them about the caves. Because it has proven incredibly useful for traversal, H207 has been given the Archon classification, and, for the time being, will be left in its home for further use.
And that is actually pretty useful. Alright, Bell Beast. Welcome to the team. Next up.
The next entity was one that Agent Cherry and her team were wholly unprepared for when they came across it. They had a long day of exploration, their legs were all tired, and this was not a creature anyone should be eager to come across without being prepared for a hardy sprint.
Easily.
Item number SCP-H213.
Look at that skull he's wearing.
Euclid. Special Containment Procedures. Despite the frustrated requests of some of Cherry's team to have this entity hurled into SCP-682's cell to be shredded to pieces, H213 is to be housed in a standard containment cell with a low-hanging ceiling. While it has been stripped of its weapon, it is still very physically powerful and should not be interacted with unless sedated or restrained. Description. H213 is a 10-foot-tall humanoid ant entity. It is nearly as broad as it is tall, and it has as of yet been undetermined whether the skull on its head is a part of its original physiology, or if it has adorned itself in the skull of another creature, and that skull then fused with its exoskeleton. When discovered, it was wielding a large, three-pronged scythe-like weapon made of a large bone of an undetermined creature. Such with other entities encountered, this creature has the ability to burrow underground incredibly rapidly and re-emerge under the feet of its targets. Agent Cherry and her team thought they'd found a place to rest when this creature attacked. It was able to kill 2 of their teammates before they even had a moment to process what they were up against.
Oh damn,
the creature had the ability to leap roughly 30 feet into the air and land while giving a forceful swing of its weapon. With it being so agile, they had a difficult time getting aim on its weak points. The entity injured another operative and likely would have killed him if Agent Cherry's fast thinking hadn't kicked in. She taunted and lured H213 into a section of the cave with much lower ceilings, meaning it had far less space to leap around. She was then able to target weak points in its joints with her assault rifle, then, when she ran out of bullets, continued the battle with a short sword she is quite adept with. She injured the creature enough to then help her allies to restore.
Is that short sword have a rope to the end of it as well?
Train it, and eventually have it transported out of the caverns into Foundation custody. Since this occurrence, other ant entities in the subterranean realm have become more hostile towards Agent Cherry and her team, but it is nothing they are unable to handle.
Huh.
At least, when they are well rested.
Wonder if it's like the king ant or something. I know it's called a skull ant, but still. I do need to play the game, I know.
I will make this advertisement interruption brief. Brief? That'd be new. These ad segments has been getting longer and longer ever since we started having mini banter sessions during them. Yes, well, I do not want to keep people from the presentation they clicked on the video for, so I am simply quickly informing you all that the Popcross Extended Edition novel, Fear of the Demon Hunters, which I actually play a small part in, is available now with access to a full bonus chapter and episode not available anywhere else. We could probably talk about the coloring books, too. We got the Dragons one, and the Demons one, which even has some SCPs in that. No, Benny, I am simply trying to get the required information across, and then maybe we should even stop promoting series in these things. Like, people could check out Starseed Psyche, or Mytholethal, which they could even get that one as a book instead of it. I will not let you drag this out this time, Benny. Thank you all for your time, and now we just appreciate you all so much. And in fact, I'd like to take the next 3 to 18 minutes to say how Bookstores are linked in the description. Cut away now. What? But it's like my mom always says, if you rush too quick to the end. The next entity we've been unable to apprehend.
Lance.
Item number SCP-H222. Object class, uncontained. Speculated special containment procedures. Once captured, a standard containment cell should be sufficient, with precautions taken for those entering containment with the entity. Its speed and agility is superhuman, but we have no reason to believe it has supernatural enough abilities to risk escaping through a well-fortified cell. Description: H222 is a bipedal insectoid with a largely pale exoskeleton save for its black face. When found, it was carrying a golden staff which it wielded like a sword and used like one might a rapier. Agent Cherry and her team came across it in a near unbearable...
To quickly explain for a lot of people out there, a rapier is a very thin-bladed sword, not designed for slashing, but designed for stabbing and thrust.
...hot cavern that contained a set of metal docks over a lake of magma. When the entity saw Agent Cherry wielding the blade with which she'd recently bested H213, the entity aimed its own weapon at her and started speaking aggressively in its native language. Her allies took aim on the entity with their rifles, and, as Agent Cherry put it, the entity scoffed at them and made a gesture as if to shoo them away. Agent Cherry saw this as a challenge and felt she was up for the task. She had her allies stand down and readied for a duel. A duel that she lost and very well could have cost her her life. She was not fatally injured, but was downed by H222, and the entity likely could have finished her off if her team had not then fired upon the entity. It fled, and Cherry retreated with her team. They discussed how to proceed, but some in the group claim they anticipated Agent Cherry's next actions, knowing her character well enough by this point. She is a very skilled and decorated operative, but has also been known to be stubborn. While her team slept, she returned to the docks on her own and found the entity there waiting once again. Agent Cherry challenged H222 once more, and lost once more, though the entity did not take her life. It seemed the entity enjoyed the challenge of Agent Cherry and her blade. Agent Cherry proceeded to try again and again and again and again and again to defeat this entity, and lost over and over and over, even once shoving the entity into the magma pool. H222 then simply leapt out of the magma and continued the battle completely unharmed.
Wow.
Finally, after many attempts,
that is an impressive exoskeleton.
Agent Cherry was able to get her blade pointed right at the enemy's throat. She claimed H222, then nodded its head as if acknowledging her victory, and made a gesture as though Cherry and her team could proceed through the dock region. Then, it leapt away and vanished. They have not yet seen it since, but it is still Agent Cherry's intention to apprehend it and bring it in for study and containment. That is all for today. I have not yet received confirmation that this particular lecture topic will return. I am currently studying MCs of a realm colloquially referred to within the Foundation as Rain World for a potential lecture, but please let me know if you would like more information about classified entities SCP-H, as there is still a steady stream of new knowledge coming in from Agent Cherry and her team. Thank you all,
a whole brand new underground area? There's gonna be a lot more of these guys.
This might be the new best-looking SCPs
episode,
in my opinion. But anyway, if you enjoyed this, you might want to check out my Hollow Knight as a horror story episode, which this episode was essentially a sequel to. Or maybe for something a little different, my Ice Age characters as Xenomorphs episode. But besides that's all for today, except of course for ending this video on some kind of positive or inspiring note. And the thought I want to leave people with today is a quote I read this week that I really liked, which is that you will never feel ready because ready isn't a feeling, it's a decision. And that one is so true and good and punchy that I don't really think it needs a further explanation from me. I hope it's inspiring. I love you all, and I'll see you all in the next episode on Monday.
Alright everyone, that's going to be the end of today's video, and I hope you all enjoyed it. Remember to like, comment, and subscribe for more. Link to the original will be in the description below, and I'll see all of y'all next time when we flick back on. Till then, this is Fox, signing out. Peace.